Hey everyone, yet again I'm talking about Enshrouded's shortcomings. So last night I streamed a run through from a fresh character all the way through to level 5. This was to address the findings I made with the Steam achievements, showing that whilst 94% of people who own the game on Steam have made it to level 2, only 49% have made it to level 5. I wanted to show what the game was between those points to see why this might be happening. I used a timer to capture each achievement timestamp and to see how long it took to achieve certain progress in the game. It seems that there was also a bit of a gap between unlocking achievements that mark actual gameplay altering effects and getting to the level 5 mark, which ultimately is just a number and doesn't add any new real gameplay difference. The first thing that stuck out is that 5% of people haven't made it to level 2. I first reached level 2 within 7 minutes of spawning in the game. It was literally just playing through the introductory area, which could be done quicker too. For 1 million copies sold, that's 50,000 owners that haven't gotten to this stage. The next key achievements marked the first steps in the game's progress, which include mining the terrain, placing a flame altar to build a house in, crafting an item, which I've actually already unlocked before getting to level 2, and unlocking a skill point. I nabbed all of these in pretty quick succession around the 12 to 15 minute mark, but that was only because I'd spent a few minutes smashing things in the fort and picking up materials. I could have achieved this within 10 minutes of spawning in the game. I even accidentally unlocked the terrain mining by over-clicking on a rock with a pickaxe. The reason this is a big deal is because we see another big increase in the deficit from people that have achieved level 2. Over an extra 100,000 players haven't progressed from level 2 to these simple achievements. This can't be excused by people who haven't played the game yet, because we've already established that they have, and we can't also excuse it as lacking time to play because it took me less than 7 minutes to achieve this on top of gaining level 2. So why did so many players turn off between these? To really answer that, we'd have to get a deeper look at the analytics, but it's something that devs should be concerned about. The next bracket of achievement rate decline is the starter equipment, being the grappling hook and the glider. These are part of the core functionality of the controller and your ability to move through the world. The stats here show that we've moved to almost 1/3 of the entire player base not having achieved this point. I managed to reach this around the 30-minute mark, though I did focus on getting the glider before the first survivor. Knowing how the game plays out, I could have probably done it sooner. Most of the time was spent gathering the resources than really doing much else, which I also did at a casual pace. The point is that the glider and grapple are staples of this game and are required for progression through different areas, including dungeons, but only 2/3 of the players have unlocked them. After this, our next key progression in the achievement list isn't placing down survivors, but completing the first dungeon, which in this case is the Elixir Well. This includes defeating the first boss. This is meant to be the motivating factor for playing the game. Despite the lack of traps or puzzles in the well, this battle with the first boss and collection of the reward from the Shroud route is meant to be what draws you in and propels you forward into seeking to achieve further in the game. Looking at the stats, we can see that again, we're hitting that 1/3 of players not reaching this stage mark. This is alarming, as it only took me less than an hour to get to it, so the game isn't able to retain a large proportion of players for an hour or compel them to reach the motivating point. Again, deeper analysis needs to be done to figure out what about the starting run of the game is causing people to switch off. But now we're at the key part that this 0 to 5 run was all about. What kind of progression is there from here and how long does it take? Well, I continued for another 2 or so hours until I unlocked level 5 and the next achievement, which takes us into that 50% of players bracket. In that time, what I experienced was monotonous. I travelled to locations marked on my map to fulfill tasks given to me. Grab X survivor, grab X material, return, and then head back to the same area. Along the way, I did find a few little locations that looked interesting, only to find they had generic goods and rewards. Overall, my game didn't actually progress. I'd already unlocked the normal armour set. There wasn't really any reason to switch to the mage set when I got it. I kept the one weapon for the whole playthrough because comparatively it was the best for getting through any of the mobs. I only hit difficulty when I neared the end of the quests that were leading me towards the tier 2 region, which saw an increase from the same level enemies to enemies 4 to 5 levels higher, but there was no real indication of what I should be grinding on to get my levels up, as I'd already fought the enemies at all the locations that I'd been through. After rescuing the survivors, I was given the option to start crafting a few upgraded item sets that would potentially boost my survivability, though problematically, some of those kits require further extension into the tier 2 regions, which seems somewhat of a catch-22, being that I needed the gear upgrades to venture there. I could have spent time unlocking the rest of the map to get an XP boost, but there wasn't any real push towards doing that. Another gripe I stumbled across was with timed crafts. I am as yet still unable to come up with a valid excuse as to why there should be any crafting options in Enshrouded that take time to craft. There are many crafts available that are instant and allow you to place further items in the world, but as soon as you need to make a set of materials or foodstuffs, it throws out an arbitrary timer value. I wanted to craft some mage gear to boost my wizard stats, but to create the materials I would need to wait 15 to 30 minutes. I found myself asking why. What purpose does waiting actually serve from a gameplay perspective? Enshrouded is a PvE game. There is no in-game economy or trading for value, especially when crafting items. There's no competitive arms race between a rival faction. The monsters in the environment are static. They don't become more powerful the longer you take to ready up and face them. So what reason is there that I must wait 30 minutes for a sandwich? In MMO or a PvP game, the time-based construction has a purpose. It feeds into an economy system or the arms race, and it helps limit player groups that may excel at gathering components over others and creates a balance. But in Enshrouded, there is no balance struck with a timer. Instead, it's just wasting my game time. By the time I hit level 5, I was thanking the stars that I could finish the stream, as I'd lost the motivation to play. Granted, the purpose from the start gave me a bias. I was still discovering more and more that I just wasn't enjoying my time, which certainly made for some dry viewing. I think of the 7 people who accidentally clicked my stream, the average view time was about a minute. I can't complain or blame anyone for that, nor do I really care, because my main goal was to create this video and point out that there's a lot lacking in the gameplay for Enshrouded. And while at its core there are some really cool features, the way it's executed is where it's being let down. What really concerns me though is that this is a trend with many new games, in that they have great concepts but struggle to achieve great gameplay, and end up only lasting a short time before the next hype train title comes along. It's a horrible system for both the consumer and for the developer, but the Enshrouded devs are doing the right thing. They are begging for feedback and appear to be open to fixing up these issues, so I really hope that they pay more attention now. Anyway, hopefully this will be one of the last videos I have to make on where the game's going wrong, and the next will be a redemption arc. Either way, thanks for watching.